Welcome back to None of Your Beeswax Apiary. Today it's starting to get warm, so we're going to start looking into our hives, do our spring splits, make sure they're not getting ready to swarm, and then we'll also show you how much they've drawn out this box here that we put on a couple weeks ago. See how much wax they've drawn out, how many frames they've got drawn out for us. So let's get dressed up and get into the hive. Go ahead and smack them down. Take the cover off here. This is where our feeder was. We have one of the jar feeders up on this one. Too many bees up there. Let's get into here and see if they've made any comb for us. Just looking to make sure the queen isn't up here. They don't have enough drawn out. Really, she shouldn't be up here, but just to make sure before we set it aside. It's in the, probably right now in the mid 50s, so we don't want to leave frames with brood sitting out because it's still a little too cold for them to be outside the hive for a long period of time. But you can see that they've just started drawing these frames out. And of course they're drawn on the bottom of the frame where we don't want them to, because that's what bees do. So we'll scrape all that off here in a bit. There we are again. All on the bottom where we don't want it, but we'll scrape that off. You can see they've drawn out some on the sides. They've had this about 3 weeks, so that's how much they've gotten done. They've got 4 or 5 frames started there. Shake the bees off of there. We'll scrape this off and we'll save this and use this to re-wax frames for next year. Melt it down so nothing goes to waste. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll put this back together and we'll pull that box off and dive down into the hive, because what I want to do is check to make sure that there's no queen cups in there. Make sure they're not getting ready to swarm on us. And then probably start making a split off. Put these guys down and scrape off this comb that's on the opposite side of that. There's a couple different ways to make splits. The way we're going to make the split is I'm going to go through and I'm going to find the queen, set her aside, and then we'll pull out 5 frames. One with honey, one with pollen on it and honey, and then make sure that we've got one that's got eggs on it. We'll put those in a separate nuke and then let them raise their own queen. You can also do it without finding the queen. You just got to make sure that you split the hive so that each box has resources to make their own queen. But I like taking the time and finding the queen and making sure I know where she's at. These frames are broken. Yep, so we're going to fix those frames. We're going to get this one out first then. I don't like taking anything but the edge frame out because you never know where the queen is. She could be right here. We gotta be careful we don't smash her. So that, a good frame on nectar on that side. Same on that side. Nectar and a little bit of pollen right there, so we can set that one aside. That one won't hurt to stay out for a while. Give ourselves room to work. Since that one's nectar and pollen, this one should be too. Yep, a little bit of nectar. Nectar and capped honey on that side. Since this one needs fixed, we're going to shake the bees off. We're going to pause right here. I'm going to go staple this frame back together and we'll be right back and continue. I'm going to put the cover back on. So I went back and fixed this one, put a couple staples in it to fix it, but something I wanted to point out here is this was the end one. You see how there's a groove running right up through the wax there? Because when I pulled the second one, there's a piece of burr comb right there that was stuck to the side of the frame there, so I drug it up through that wax right there. That's why you got to be careful pulling out these frames. You want to always try to pull out the end one when you can, because if the queen had been right there, I'd have rolled the queen and killed the queen. So luckily it's a honey frame. She wasn't on there, so we're good. Two of these we'll set aside. Again, they just have honey on them, so there's nothing to worry about leaving them out other than robbing, which we'll probably have some bees running around here in a little bit, but we won't be too bad. Okay, so I've got two frames out to give myself some room to work with. We're going to go through and look at all these frames and hopefully find the queen. Sometimes that can be easier said than done. But she should be on a frame that has fresh eggs laid on it. And if nothing else, some uncapped brood. So we'll look at all the frames, but we'll really pay attention to those ones. That's a good frame of pollen and bee bread right there. They usually store that right beside the brood nest, that way they've got it to feed the larvae with, so the next frame we pull up is probably going to have brood on it. So that's another thing that we're looking for here before we split the bees, is we're looking to make sure we've got drones walking around, and there's a drone right there, tip of my finger. You need a lot of good drones walking around because you need them to mate with the new queen, so you don't want to do any splits before you see drones. So we've got drones, so it's a good time to make some splits then. I'm also making sure to look at the bottoms of the frames, especially the ones that have brood on them, to make sure we don't have any queen cups starting. Make sure we can stop them before they start wanting to swarm on us. And being very careful when I pull the frames out, because you can see they've got wonky comb everywhere because they're trying to raise drones, so they put it wherever they can find a spot, which usually winds up sticking out in the way of everything else. So I see eggs on this frame right here. We're going to pay a little extra attention to this one to make sure the queen isn't on it. Nick, you can come over as well and help, because two eyes are better than one. Look at the other side while I look at this side.
No, I'm not seeing her this time. She might be in the next one.
The bad thing is you're looking for one bee out of about 20-30,000, so
yeah,
that's sometimes not so easy.
Needle in a haystack. Found her.
Okay, where at?
Look it over right there.
Yep, there she is. Good job, Nick. She's right down there in the lower right-hand corner. So we've got a nuke box set aside over here. I'm going to go over here and safely place her in here. That way we don't have to worry about where she's at. Don't worry about squishing her.
I'm on a roll with that queen finding.
Then because it's cool out, I'm going to take this frame right here with bees on it, shake them in the box with her to give her some extra bees. Lid on. She's safely tucked away. Okay, now we can go ahead and start making our split. Like I said, one thing we want to make sure we have, Nick, grab that nuke box over there for me, is a frame with eggs on it, which just so happens to be this one right here. probably can't see down into those cells very good because of the light. But right in here, there's fresh eggs that are laid right there. The best queens they make after the larvae just hatches, which is on day 4. So those eggs are still standing up, so they're not hatched yet. So we're going to take this frame right here. You can bring it right over here next to me. Just set it down right there. Put it in the middle of the nuke box. Then we also want to take a frame of bees and brood. New hatching bees too. Just take a look at this. That's a good frame of cat brood right there. Lots of bees on it. Same on that side. We've got some drone brood. That's the bigger stuff sticking out right here in the center. That's drone brood. See how that sticks out a little bit further? But that'll be okay too. So we're going to stick them in there as well. Then it takes a lot of pollen and bee bread to properly raise new queens, along with some food. So this frame that I found right back here, not that one, it was this one. Yep, this frame that we found right there with the nectar and the bee bread and stuff like that on it. And it's got nectar on the other side. We're going to put that one in here, right on the other side of that one with the eggs. So we want the food close at hand to them. We're going to find one more frame of brood and one frame of food. Down here you'll see this is the remnants of the Formic Pro pads that we put in 2 weeks ago. Use these for mite treatment. Whoops. Smoke really came off. That's a good time to refill it too. I use pine chips to start the smoker, and then for long periods of time I've got some wood pellets that I put in after that, and then top it off with some leaves. So I keep a good fire burning, or good smoke balling. Get the bees down. Let's scrape these pads off and we can throw these away. Leave these in for 2 weeks, then they can come out. Scrape some more of this burr comb off here because we don't want it between the boxes because that could squish our queen. Let's go in down here and see if we've got any brood down here that we can use. The other thing I want to get down here and look for is to make sure that they're actually using this box, because sometimes coming out of winter the bees like to move up in the hive. So what you'll find is all your bees will be in the top box. They'll be laying and putting honey and nectar and stuff like that in the top. They won't be using this box, and that makes them feel like they're kind of compressed and congested in the hive and could increase the swarming tendencies. So you may need to rotate the boxes. There's a good amount of bees down here, so I don't think that's going to be the case here. There's 2 empty frames right there though, so I may wind up putting the queen back down here in the bottom box. Okay, I only pulled 1 frame out of the bottom here because I know where the queen is. I don't have to worry about squishing her. So I'm just trying to move a little bit faster here now. Don't have to be quite as careful. I still don't want to squish a bunch of bees because not only is that counterproductive, but it kind of makes them mad. This is what I would consider our meanest hive, so they're already mad if you can't tell them by them swarming around me right now. They're not happy. They don't like you being in the bottom box especially. So I'm seeing lots of pollen and bee bread down here. That's a good full frame of bee bread, so I don't have to worry about taking away the one that I did. And the bees are flying around everywhere because Rachel just walked away from the camera. Try to calm them down a little bit here. So we do have some brood down here, so she has been down here. Some brood on that frame right there. Good amount of brood and bee bread on that one. Let's take a look at the next one here before we pull one of these out. The thing with this hive hives. They may be our meanest and maddest hive, but they also made us the most honey last year. So I can't complain if they're doing their job. Again, we've got another good frame of bee bread, larvae, eggs, cat brood. One more. I'm trying to find the one with the most brood on it to give to them. So that has I think another one back here has more though. Nick, if you can bring our box back over here with the frames we're making the split with, we're going to go ahead and take this frame right here with the brood and bee bread in there. We're going to put that in there. Right next door. Now, we're also going to shake a bunch of bees in here. What you want a bunch of nurse bees in order to make that queen cell, feed that queen cell all the royal jelly she needs to become a good queen, and take care of that queen cell. So we're going to shake. You want to make sure you got nurse bees. You're going to get some forwarders, but the nurse bees typically are on the frames of brood, especially if you have open brood. We're going to shake them, put them in there. We're going to leave the rest of these bees on these frames here. We'll shake some more from the top box. Nick, if you can grab me a frame out of here. We'll replace that frame what we've got with one of the frames here that they were drawing out for us. Grab one out of the center, please. You got your hive tool? So we'll take and replace that with one of the frames they've been drawn out. And this frame that doesn't have anything in it, I'm going to put it right in the center of the hive. That way the queen has a good frame to lay on. It'll be a blank frame, nothing on it. She doesn't like going off to the sides of the hive very often unless she has to. So that's why we try to keep the frames in the center like that. Okay, we're going to, again, this one has burr comb on it, so before we put that in there, we're going to scrape that off. Reuse that later. And the last thing we want to do is make sure we've got all our frames pushed together tight. Because if you give them too much extra space, they're going to fill it with wax, and it won't be where you want it. So make sure all those are good and tight. Smoke the bees down here. Move that so I don't triple it. Just take it off to the side. I got one more frame in it. And some more bees. Okay, you can bring it back. Okay, so we put the top box back on. We are going to shake some more bees out of this box into the nuke box there, and then give them a frame of food, which will be capped honey or nectar. So we'll see what this frame looks like right here. We may just put this whole frame in. Yeah, let's do that. We're just going to put this whole frame in. So we'll add that right here to the edge. And then for good measure, we're going to shake some more bees in. That little nub sticking out right there, we're going to cut that off. That That way it doesn't wind up squishing our queen in the future. Look at that. Okay. I am going to do one more thing here, because we've got 2 frames with brood on it. Actually, we got 3 frames because we got the queen, so we'll go ahead and put them all together. So now we need to replace the frames that we just took out. So this is where the frames that we were having them draw out come in handy. They've already got a start on those. Just looking to make sure that there's no excess burr comb that we need to trim off. Just trim that off right there. So this one you can see, we're going to trim that off. Okay, so it's time to get our frame with our queen. We'll put her back in here, and then we'll finish filling this box up. Oh, crap, I forgot I got 2 more frames over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we're good. Let's pull these back out. Forgot, we said the 2 frames of honey off to the side over there. Check the lid to make sure she's not on the lid, because I have had people crawl up on the lid of the nuke box on us. She's not on there. Very carefully move this over and check to make sure we can see her. The camera real quick here. Meanwhile, Nick's checking a nuke box to make sure she didn't crawl off onto the side of the nuke box on us. Oh, and look what I just found. There's a queen cup.
Do you see the queen yet?
I have not.
Where are you going?
So what we've got right here, you see that's a little queen cup they're starting. So we don't want that, so we're going to squish it. There's no egg or royal jelly in that one. So that's good, we got it in time. She's over here on this side. She's right there. So then we're also going to take, and that's a queen cup they're starting right there, so we're also going to squish that one. That way it stops that swarming impulse. So we'll put her safely right back there. And then you can, these 2 right here. We want to put these frames that they're starting to draw off closer to the center over here, because if it's next to brood, you've got young nurse bees, which are the ones that have their active wax glands that will help to draw these out. You don't want to separate your brood too much, because it's still going to be cold and stuff in the evening, so you want to keep the brood nest close together so that they can cluster and keep the brood all warm. So we've got all 3 frames with brood on it all right here together, and then we've got frames that were being drawn out on either side of that, and then we'll put the honey on the edges. Okay, so we're going to finish buttoning this up here. We're going to take off this little piece of burr comb that screwed up our frame on the first one. Make sure all these frames are pushed over. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this back together. Queen's back in there. One thing I also want to do that I forgot about until just now, we've got this drone brood frame here that we're going to put on in place of one of these frames. Nick, can you come here? Just hold this frame just because I want to make sure since the queen was close by that she's not there and I'll set her on the room. Okay. So this frame, this green frame is for drone brood. The cells are the size that they like to lay drone brood in, so we put this in there. This has been in the freezer since last year. It's good for mite control, for trapping mites and stuff like that. So mites are attracted to drone brood because it takes longer for the drones to hatch. So they like to go into drone brood. So what we do is we put that in there. The bees will clean that out. We'll come back in about 3 weeks, pull that frame out, shake all the bees off and throw it in the freezer, and that'll kill any mites that are on the drones in that frame. It helps with mites. It's not the only thing we can do to keep mites out, but it helps keep things under control. Plus it gives the queen somewhere else to lay, which will help control that swarming impulse that she's got right now. We're also going to throw one of these probiotic patties that we got free at the North American Honeybee Expo. We have been using powdered probiotics, and we got those free, so we're going to give that a shot and see how they like that. And then as a final measure, we're going to go ahead and put a honey super on top. That way, they can start. Super. Oh, Nick has the super. That way, like I said, they can start filling the honey super up if they have any extra incoming nectar. They've got plenty of food in the box, so we don't have to worry about them running out of food. Things are starting to bloom. They're starting to bring in some little bit of nectar. They're not going to fill this real fast right now, but we're going to go ahead and put that on. That way they've got extra room in there. They don't feel as congested. Hopefully it'll keep them from wanting to swarm too. And then we'll go ahead and put the lid back on. So, a couple final things. We'll come back, check this hive again in a week, go through and make sure there's no swarm cells in there. From now to probably about the beginning of May, we're going to want to get into these hives every 5 to 7 days. Look for swarm cells, try to stay on top of it, knock down any that we find. Hopefully pulling out those bees and those frames and giving them some blank frames and stuff will curtail that swarming impulse, but you never know. That's what bees do naturally. That nuke, we're going to go ahead and take it to our other yard for that queen to get mated in our other yard. Hopefully she'll come back and won't be as mean as these bees are. And then we'll bring her back home and put her back. We're going to keep that one for ourselves because, like I said, this is a good honey producing hive. It's just that they're a little angry. So we're going to try to get her bred with the other ones that we've got down in another yard to produce some good honey too. And then we'll hopefully have another good queen to go on in the future. So be sure to like and subscribe to the page. Follow us so you get notifications of future videos, and we'll see you next time.